Hi, welcome back, and it's time for more stories. Today we're going to read A Little Prairie House, and it's adapted. It's my first Little House book, and it's adapted from Laura Ingalls Wilder's books, Little House on the Prairie. So there's the picture, A Little Prairie House. Once upon a time, a little girl named Laura traveled in a covered wagon across the giant prairie. She traveled with her pa, her ma, her big sister Mary, and her little sister Carrie, and their good old bulldog Jack. They were searching for the perfect place to build themselves a little house. So there they are in their covered wagon. They would travel thousands of miles in that. One day, after the little family had been traveling across the prairie for a long time, Laura and Mary woke up earlier than the sun. They ate their breakfast of cornmeal mush and hurried to help Ma wash the dishes. Pa was loading everything into the wagon. Look at that wide open prairie. There's no houses, no cities, just all open and empty. When the sun rose, they were driving across the prairie. There was no roads to drive on, so Pet and Patty, the two gentle Mustangs, waded through the grass. No roads, no paths, no cars. Later that morning, Pa said, "Whoa!" and the wagon stopped. "Here we are," he said. "Right here we'll build our house." Laura and Mary jumped to the ground, and all around there was nothing but prairie. Look at that, nothing. No neighbors, no cities. Yeah, nothing, huh, Lexi? I don't know if you can hear her. She's talking to us. Right now, Pa and Ma began to unload the wagon, and they took everything out and piled it on the ground while Laura and Mary and Jack watched. Then Pa drove the wagon down into the prairie, out of sight, to get a load of logs from the creek bottom. So there they all are. Laura was a little frightened to be left on the prairie without the wagon. She wanted to hide in the tall grass like a little prairie chicken. But instead, she helped Ma while Mary sat on the grass and minded baby Carrie. So there's Mary and baby Carrie, and there's Laura helping her mom. Or I guess she calls her Ma. Soon Pa came back with a load of logs. For days and days, Pa kept hauling logs. He made 2 piles of them, one for the house and one for the stable. When he had enough logs, it was time to build. Pa began the house first. So they must have been staying overnight in the wagon. I do know sometimes they could take the tarp off the wagon and make it into tents. So there was also that. All by himself, Pa built the walls of the house, 3 logs high. Then Ma helped him. Log by log, Pa and Ma built the walls higher and higher. Soon Laura couldn't climb over them anymore. You think about our homes today, it's not very large, is it? Not for a family of 5. Then one day, Pa was off hunting, and he came back whistling merrily. "Good news," he shouted. Pa had met a neighbor on the other side of the creek, and his name was Mr. Edwards, and he was going to help Pa finish building the house. Then Pa would help Mr. Edwards build his house. Oh, look at that. There's Mr. Edwards. So they do have a neighbor, just not super close. Early the next morning, Mr. Edwards came. He was tall and lean, and he bowed to Ma politely. He told Laura he was a wildcat from Tennessee, and he could spit further than Laura had ever imagined anyone could spit. Laura tried and tried, but she could never spit so far or so well as Mr. Edwards could. Silly Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards was a fast worker, and one day he and Pa built the walls of the little house as high as Pa wanted them. They sang while they worked, and their axes made the chips fly. They cut a tall hole for the door and square holes for the windows. Yep, there's little Miss Lexi May. There they are working on the house. Hi, May May. Yeah, hi. Laura couldn't wait to see the inside of the house, and as soon as the tall hole was cut, she ran inside. Strips of sunshine came through the cracks in the walls and went across Laura's hands and arms and feet. See all the lines coming from the sun shining through? Our walls today aren't like that, are they? At the end of the day, Mr. Edwards said he would go home, but Pa and Ma said he must stay to supper. Ma had made stewed jackrabbit and steaming hot thick cornbread with molasses. Mr. Edwards said he surely did appreciate the supper. then Pa took out his fiddle and began to sing. I don't think I could cook on the prairie. Suddenly, Mr. Edwards jumped up and began to dance, and he danced like a jumping jack in the moonlight, while Pa's fiddle kept on rollicking, and Laura's and Mary's hands were clapping together. Pa played and played, and Mr. Edwards danced and danced. Look at all the stars in the sky. They don't have a roof yet, do they? Finally, Mr. Edwards said he must go. Play me down the road, he said. So Pa played, and Pa and Laura and Mr. Edwards sang with all their might, until Laura could not hear Mr. Edwards anymore. Only the wind rustled in the prairie grasses, and the big yellow moon sailed across the new little house on the prairie. So there you go. What an adventure, huh? Well, there'll be some more Little House books. I'm not sure how many I have, but we'll read them till I've read them all. So if you want to hear more, please come back and join me. And I hope you have a great day.